The story of Instagram's rise to prominence is fascinating. They skyrocketed to the top within a few months, and it was all thanks to their steady stream of new innovative features. The photo and video sharing social media app Instagram was only 8 weeks old before it launched on Apple's mobile operating system. Facebook acquired the company in just 18 months for $1 billion in cash and stock. But it was not all smooth sailing. Like any good story, there were twists and turns. There were failures and successes, conflicts and synergies, along with a bit of luck. By the end of this video, you'll know how Instagram evolved from a business-minded idea to the big success it is today. In 2009, Kevin Systrom, who had graduated from Stanford University, landed a job at Next Stop, a travel recommendation startup. Prior to that, he had interned at Odeo, a company that would later evolve into Twitter. Kevin had no formal training in computer science, but he learned to code on nights and weekends while working at Next Stop. He eventually built a prototype of a web app called Bourbon, which was inspired by his taste for fine whiskeys and bourbons. When the Bourbon app came out, it was easy to use and had a lot of great features. It was quite similar to other location-based apps on the market, but one that made this app different was its photo sharing capability. At the time, there was this photo sharing app called Hipstamatic. After facing difficulties with this app, Kevin Systrom decided to create a new one that would be more intuitive and user-friendly than its competitors. 2010 marked a crucial turning point for Kevin when he attended a party for Hunch, the Silicon Valley startup. At the party, Kevin Systrom met two venture capitalists and managed to convince one of them to invest $50,000 in his new app. The other investor then heard about this and decided to put $250,000 in Kevin's new company. This led the original investor to invest an additional $250,000. Finally, Kevin's company boasted $500,000 of investments. This grant allowed Kevin to build a team of people to support his company. Mike Krieger, the 25-year-old Stanford graduate and user experience designer from Meebo, became the first to join Kevin's team. The two knew each other from their days as students at Stanford University. After Mike joined Kevin, the two decided to focus on one thing and go for mobile photography. Mike and Kevin based their company off an app they saw that had great features and was also popular in the photography category. The app they took inspiration from was Hipstamatic. Kevin and Mike saw the potential in their new app by linking it with a social media platform like Facebook. They moved backwards and stripped Bourbon down to its photo-taking, commenting, like features. Their app had been renamed Instagram at this point, as combining the words Instant and Telegram highlighted their intention to continue improving on these primary aspects of the app. They wanted the app to be minimalist and as easy to use as possible. After 8 weeks of testing, they gave it to friends for feedback. They fixed some minor errors before releasing it publicly on October 6, 2010. But even in Kevin's wildest dreams, he couldn't have predicted what was about to happen next. Most new products, services, or companies have an unimpressive start. With these things, the early days are a bit of a challenge to ramp up popularity. That is not the case with Instagram. When it first came out, they were clearly a hit with people from day one. On October 6, 2010, the Instagram app went live on App Store and gained 25,000 users in one day. After the first week on Instagram had ended, 100,000 users installed the app, and by mid-December 1 million people were already using Instagram. The timing of the app's release ended up being perfect because the iPhone 4 had just launched, featuring an improved camera. This was back in June 2010. This update improved many people's photography. As a result, Instagram was a success at instant, and their popularity increased exponentially. The app made photo sharing easy in the early days by supporting other social networks like Facebook and Twitter. Whenever someone shared their filtered content on those other networks, they introduced their followers to the app and encouraged them to download it too. As technology has come along, it's now so easy for people to transform their photos into art with Instagram. Instagram actively recruited designers and photographers with high follower accounts on other platforms to join Instagram early on in order to set the right tone for the app. This also resulted in Instagram going viral. Despite Kevin not being prepared for how quickly Instagram would catch on, the service continued to crash from all the new users. Kevin's stress levels increased as the number of offline Instagram increased. So far, the issue has been getting even worse as celebrities have started joining the platform. This includes Justin Bieber, who joined and causes a surge in new followers with teenage girls. The vast number of photos would then overload the service. Like, how are they supposed to moderate them all and deal with all the harassment and abuse? Instagram hit 2 million users while only having 4 employees, including the founders, Kevin and Mike, who were all based in the same office. It was really amazing watching the Instagram team grow over time, but with that growth came a ton of challenges. They ended up having to continue to grow their team from 4 employees to 12 employees. Kevin's personal life changed dramatically as he found himself at the helm of a rapidly growing application. He became more immersed in celebrity culture, even though he knew very little about it. Kevin was now speaking to famous people about how they could utilize Instagram, and it all seemed too good to be true. After increasing in popularity considerably, Instagram seemed more appealing to investors. In February 2011, they raised $7 million in Series A funding, and one of their investors was Benchmark Capital, which valued the company at around $25 million. In addition to institutional investors, Kevin also attracted the interest of traditional competitors like Facebook and Twitter. With their new round of financing, Kevin and Mike may be regaining the momentum necessary to make their vision a reality, and the opportunity to hire more people, but the founders decided to keep it small, with barely a dozen employees. The irony is that Instagram was making no money at all during the first couple of years because they hadn't yet developed an ad system. They were relying solely on investors' money to fund their growth, but suddenly, none of that mattered, because Twitter wanted to buy Instagram. The Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey took Kevin out for drinks and dinner. Kevin knew Jack Dorsey from his time as an intern at Odeo, now known as Twitter. Dorsey expressed a strong interest in Kevin's rapidly growing company, and pursued the idea of acquiring Instagram. Twitter took an interest in it. They eventually made a formal deal to buy Instagram, which was valued at around $500 million, but Kevin declined the offer. Kevin and Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, have been acquainted through events held at Stanford. The two had been in communication when Instagram was quickly gaining in popularity. One day, Mark Zuckerberg called Kevin and got right to the point by saying that he has thought about it and he wants to buy Instagram. In April 2012, Facebook made an offer to purchase Instagram for $1 billion, which seemed to be a lot at the time. At the time, nobody had ever paid $1 billion for a mobile app before, especially not an app that was less than 2 years and didn't make any money. Instagram was hardly making any money still at this point in time. Mark was able to convince Kevin that Facebook could help Instagram reach a new level by giving them access to Facebook's resources. He even assured Kevin that Instagram staff will run everything at Instagram without any interference from Facebook. Kevin thought about it, but knew, if he didn't sell Instagram, Facebook would have undertaken a common strategy in the industry of crushing an app. So being backed by Facebook's wealth, it seemed like a mutually beneficial deal. Shortly, Facebook moved forward and bought Instagram just prior to its initial public offering known as IPO, paying $1 billion in cash and stock for the acquisition. This was a genius move for Mark, but not everyone understands the tactic. Many people thought Mark Zuckerberg was making a mistake. But purchasing Instagram turned out to be one of the best tech acquisitions of all time. Facebook's dominance as a social media company will be secured for years to come due to the new features it has added to help grow Instagram. Mark managed to converge the two internet giants and make them complementary businesses. In 2021, Instagram generated an estimated $48 billion revenues and accounts for 50% of Facebook's total revenue and is the fourth most popular social app in the world. Over 2 billion people use it every month. This was a genius move for Mark, but not everyone liked the deal. Facebook's acquisition of Instagram was a huge success to Facebook, but not everyone liked the deal. Numerous Facebook users were wary of the platform's plans to acquire more data and warned of privacy concerns due to Facebook's past track record. However, for Instagram, the small team of 12 people after the acquisition, it was time to celebrate, and Kevin took them for a big party in Las Vegas. Instagram's employees were originally very celebratory about their new fortunes, but the celebrations wouldn't last long. It soon became clear that those few team members who were still on board would not be getting rich themselves. They were offered jobs by Facebook to continue working with Instagram, but monetary payment was not mentioned for them. The only people winning are the founders Kevin and Mike, who can finally start to feel a bit resentful as their Instagram team watches on as Kevin and Mike buy a new expensive item and start getting all kinds of packages delivered to their office. With all the starts and stops in their lives, things quickly became overwhelming for Kevin and Mike. In December 2012, Instagram started to realize it had a problem when the update in their privacy policy caused a stir. This update effectively allows Instagram to sell users' photos to third parties without notification or compensation. The move drew immediate criticism from privacy advocates and many of the app's users. Some responded by deleting the app immediately. Instagram eventually pulled back the controversial terms. Facebook's acquisition of Instagram led many to believe the company would take control of the app and turn it into an entirely new product. However, Facebook's CEO told his staff to leave Instagram alone. During the first few years, they did exactly that. Regardless of what you may think of Instagram's approach to building an audience, the truth is that Facebook employees can't help but admire their strategies. As time went by, problems started arising. Facebook advised Instagram to discourage the use of Vine hashtags and displaying Snapchat names, as doing so would give visibility to their competitors. Zuckerberg also wanted Instagram to send more push notifications in order to help boost engagement, but Kevin disagreed and said that this would be an annoying experience for users. It was the first of many disagreements between the two founders. Kevin felt that bombarding users with barrage of notifications would be too overwhelming, and that it would have a negative effect on users' trust in the app overall. He believed that this was not worth risking for a quick boost. Then came advertising. Zuckerberg wanted to integrate Facebook's existing ad system on Instagram. From a business perspective, this made a lot of sense. Facebook had an extremely profitable ad infrastructure they've been using for years. Facebook has incredible knowledge about advertising systems, and it would be very simple to introduce this for Instagram as well. It would instantly start making millions of dollars. But this is the thing. Back then, at a tech conference in 2012, there was agreement stating that Instagram wasn't opposed to advertising, as long as it was done beautifully and you could barely notice it. Kevin claimed that the companies and brands with the most success on Instagram were the ones where it comes across as natural and obvious at the same time. However, now Zuckerberg wants to integrate Facebook's existing ad system onto Instagram, because Facebook has used its hugely successful ad infrastructure for years, and it really works well for Facebook. Instagram started running ads in late 2013, but they limited it to one brand per day. Kevin had strict control of how those advertisements looked. Zuckerberg decided in 2014 it was time for the app to earn back some of its acquisition price. Facebook would start to ramp up their advertising infrastructure on Instagram by scaling up the number of ads. All Instagram had to do was plug in and bam, they'd have a multi-billion-dollar business. Kevin was skeptical of this approach, worried that the ads would clash drastically with the Instagram aesthetic, leading to the dreaded death by digital billboards. But Zuckerberg forced Instagram to open the floodgates and let in ads from any random business buying on the Facebook website, many of which were irrelevant to the app's user base. Facebook wanted Instagram to grow really fast, and this required big numbers. Numbers such as 1 billion users. This would allow Facebook to collect even more data on human interactions. Instagram reached the 1 billion user milestone in 2018, and Zuckerberg was happy to take all the credit, telling analysts when discussing a company's earnings that Instagram used Facebook's infrastructure to grow more than twice as quickly as it would have on its own. Soon after Facebook's earnings, Mark ordered the disabling of any tools that funneled growth to Instagram. This included promotions within Facebook's news feed. This was when Zuckerberg came to believe that Instagram was interfering with Facebook's growth. The problem is that Facebook was telling everyone publicly that they supported Instagram's success, but behind the scenes, Facebook was acting much more like the competitor to Instagram. As one former Instagram executive complained, Facebook was like the big sister that wants to dress you up for the party, but does not want you to be prettier than she is. Zuckerberg continued to make changes. He removed the link to Instagram on the Facebook app, instead asking Instagram to add a link that will take Instagram users to Facebook. Kevin didn't like this idea and started speaking out. Tension grew between the two. Kevin took a holiday to cool down the tension. Upon returning from his extended holiday, Kevin announced that he would be resigning from the Instagram, followed by his co-founder Mike. The founders originally had a plan for the company, and in the absence of these key members, Instagram is growing more like Facebook wants it. This means more algorithms to track and study user behavior, and make sure they're coming back for more. The name has also been rebranded as Instagram from Facebook. Since then, Instagram has incorporated more ads. This includes a higher frequency of notifications for tailored recommendations about who to follow and more integration with Facebook. In the wake of Kevin's departure, Zuckerberg was now able to finally do what he wanted without the risk of pushback or delays. This is the incredible journey of a company that was founded in 2010 from a simple idea to one of the most popular social media networks in the world today. What is undeniable about the Instagram phenomenon is that it has been an incredible success story in the business world. It has shown that it can achieve popular appeal and provide a sustainable service.